This month, as we have begun this journey to ignite the power within, it makes me think. I don't know about you, but sometimes I wish I had an instruction manual. I wish I could just go to the internet and put in instruction manual for life, instruction manual for being in alignment with God, and have it show up. I mean, anybody else think that would be handy? Yeah, right? I would love to have that. But we know that in some ways we don't have a detailed instruction manual, but these first 4 chapters, the introduction within the Science of Mind textbook, in many ways is the instruction manual, the summary, the introduction to the guide that allows us to really understand how spirit works and how we can work with it. So this month, we have been focusing on that introduction, those first 4 chapters. The thing itself, what is God? How does God present itself? What is the meaning of God's Spirit? Chapter 2, or week 2, Reverend Karen shared with us the way it works, the way that Spirit works, the elements that are involved in Spirit working for all of creation. And then last week, we got to talk about what it does. It works in us, as us, and through us in order for us to achieve the intentions that we set and to experience what we most believe in. And so today, as we round out the month, we get an opportunity to really begin to dive into how to use it. Now that we know what it is and how it works, and that what it does is work through us, today we get to think about, okay, so I know all of that, so how do I use it? How do I put it into use in my life? And so one of the primary things we need to do is to simply be receptive to the purpose of the universe. All right, so the universe has physical laws like gravity, right? We know the physical laws, but there are also spiritual laws. And so we want to be receptive to the purpose of the universe, which is executing those physical and spiritual laws. And we get an alignment with that. And we're receptive to the fact that the law is going to do what it does. And so we could fight it. We could pretend that we could make up our own laws. And sometimes some of you are like me. You decide you want to make up your own law. This is the way the world should work. This is what should be happening. I would love my life so much more if everything would just change. You know, floating in space without gravity might be really good. It could be fun. But gravity still exists because it is a law. So in the spiritual realm, it's the same thing. I need to be receptive to the fact that the universe has laws and it has a purpose. And I want to receive in alignment with that purpose, with those purposes. Ernest Holmes says, if you wish to use this power, then you must believe that it actually is there, that it exists, and then make yourself an instrument for its action. So many of you have heard us say, there's a power for good in the universe. It is available to all, and we can use it. There is a power for good in the universe. It is available to all, and we can use it. So if you really wish to use this power, you've got to believe that it exists. And then make yourself available for an instrument of its action, because it is acting all the time. And so if you allow it to, it will act through you. It will act through me, but I must know about it, believe in it, and then allow it to move. So we can make ourselves an instrument for its action. Now think about that, an instrument for its action. So you've experienced just this morning several musicians and using instruments to create sound, whether it's the piano or the bass or the drums or the voices, using the voice of instrument for the action of creating music. Can you think about in your own life, what are you allowing the universe to use you as an instrument for? Are you an instrument called parent? Are you an instrument called business owner? Are you an instrument who is an artist, who is a writer, who is a teacher? Make yourself an instrument for Spirit's action through you. Now I'm pausing because I want to take that in, actually. I was going to say, so you can take it in. I want to take it in. How am I being an instrument for Spirit's action in my life and in the world? Some of you know that last week I was doing a radio tour. You know, really, I love these because you sit at your house and you don't have to put on makeup and you don't have to dress up, and radio stations call you and you talk to them and they interview you, and it's really cool, and you can sound wise and all of that, you know, without all of the work it takes to get ready to get up, go out and, you know, and like look great, right? So I'm really aware that in the spiritual work that I did Monday morning before the first call from the first radio station, I was preparing myself to be an instrument for Spirit's action, to educate people about what they could do to reduce or eliminate racism in our society. I was being an instrument of Spirit to speak about love, expressing in our interactions with people every day. I was allowing Spirit to use me as an instrument of its action to encourage and or model that there is more than one way to interact in the world with people who are different from you. But it took me to, one, believe that Spirit is available to me always, and that Spirit would work and be working through me to bring a message to the world, even if I didn't put on makeup, right? So we can use this power, and if you're not, this is a quote from Aladdin's lamp, and Ernest Holmes in Aladdin's lamp really uses the genie and Aladdin's lamp as a metaphor and as an example that everything the genie can create is infinite. The genie can create anything you ask for, anything you request. But you are the one who has to rub the lamp, and you are the one that has to choose what you want. You are the one that has to ask for it, and you are the one that has to be willing to receive that which you asked for. So this chapter about how we use it is all about our responsibility to take action, to be in alignment with Spirit, and to allow Spirit to work in us, as us, and through us. Now, that's all well and good when we think about, oh, I'm going to work with spirit and I'm going to get a close parking space, right? When we first start learning the law of attraction, I'm going to get green lights all the way to CSLDallas this morning, right? And we're like, I can use spirit. I can manifest what I want and what I need until something happens, illness, self-doubt. We find ourselves in a place or a situation that feels dangerous, right? Or we're fired from our job that we didn't like anyway, but we're still upset because they fired us before we could leave, right? Or our business closes down and we declare bankruptcy, or we go through a divorce, or someone we love dearly makes their transition, and we feel really sad. So even when we know and believe in the divine and its power and its presence, we all experience human problems, experiences, conditions. And this is the time where it is most important for us to use the principles, to know how to use the principles in a way that actually will give us the result that we want. And so Ernest Holmes says, the one who wishes scientifically to work out his problems must daily take the time to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions might be. So take a deep breath. You're going to have problems. That is guaranteed. That is a part of the human experience. That is a part of the human dance. But if you want to scientifically work out those problems, then you've got some resources. You've got some great resources by aligning yourself with spirit, using spiritual principle, and using spiritual practice. And in this quote, Ernest Holmes says, daily, we must take the time to meditate and mentally treat the condition. Like really, if you want to swim, you got to get wet, right? If you want to resolve things that are conditions in your life, negative conditions in your life, or you want to co-create with spirit more and more positive conditions in your life, then this is what this chapter is reminding us. It's how to use it. We've got to use it. We can't just know about it. We must use it. So if you're able to see the slide, I invite you to read it out loud with me to reinforce it and lock it in. The one who wishes scientifically to work out his problems must daily to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions might be. Daily. Earlier this week, I got a phone call from my nephew's partner explaining to me that my nephew had a cold a week and a half ago. At least that's what the doctors said. And in less than a week, that cold actually expressed itself as influenza. And my nephew's partner was calling to tell me that my nephew was in the hospital, medically sedated, not responding, on a respirator, and things were, in his words, not looking good. And we had a conversation about that. And I think most of you would agree with me that in the moment that you get a call like that, or you're in a conversation like that, or you're in that situation yourself, it feels like it's a problem. It feels like it's a big problem. Notwithstanding what we teach about the eternality, immortality, and continuity of the individual soul, In that moment, there was fear. In that moment, there was sadness. In that moment, there was anticipatory grief. In that moment, there was a desire to ask all the questions. Did you ask the doctor this? Have you done this? Have they tried this? And to be in my brain, in my human brilliance and genius, if I just ask the right question, get the right answer, tell them the right thing to do, have him go and hold Corey's hand and, and tell him this, this, and this. That was happening. But I knew that what I really needed to do was take the time to meditate and to mentally treat. Now, if you're relatively new to science of mind, you may not know that when we say treat, we are talking about the way that we pray, that we use, one of the ways that we pray, that we use an affirmative prayer process called treatment. And we believe that spiritual mind treatment is just as powerful, if not more powerful, but it is just as effective as anything we think about as a medical treatment. If something is happening in my life and in my physical life and my doctor says, I want you to take this medication 3 times a day for the next 30 days, I am going to take that pill knowing it is a resource to help my body come back into alignment with its wholeness. And a spiritual mind treatment is the same thing. I am mentally treating my mind and aligning with the universal truth. So I am treating the condition with the powerful truth, expecting the truth to reveal itself in ways that I can recognize. So a treatment is, as Ernest Holmes describes it, it is a statement in the law that is always present, always working, never takes a vacation, never turns its back, never looks away, never says, "Oh, Michael, I hear you, but I'm on my lunch break right now, so come back in about an hour." So a treatment is a statement in the law embodying the concrete idea, what we want to realize or see. Embodying the concrete idea of our desires and accompanied by an unqualified faith that the law works for us. You finish it. The law works for us as we work with it. That is what we are doing when we are doing a spiritual mind treatment. We are treating the condition with the medicine that will heal it, the truth of God, the values, the qualities, the attributes of spirit that are really always seeking to express, and we are having the law work for us because we are working with it. Does that make any sense? Has anybody in here experienced that in their own life? Using treatment. And so, if you're not familiar with treatment, there is a process. And just a reminder for those of you who have taken a class or maybe have been exposed to spiritual mind treatment, we describe treatment as a prescribed step, 5-step process where we first recognize the power and the presence of the divine. We recognize the wholeness of spirit. We recognize that there would be nothing without spirit. It is a recognition of the perfection of God. Then we align ourselves with it, or we actually unify ourselves with it, knowing that because spirit has created each one of us, there is nothing that can separate us from that which created us. It's like the DNA of spirit is our DNA, and we're individualized expressions of it, but our spiritual DNA is what is the foundation of who we are. And realization is realizing, describing what will be realized when this condition becomes subject to the power of the divine. What would that look like? What would that feel like? How would my life and how would the world be expressing? And then we claim that as true now and describe it as already done. Because we know there is neither time nor space in spirit. And so it is already done in spirit, and spirit will deliver it as we describe it. And knowing that that is complete, then we offer thanksgiving. Some people say, okay, I'm going to be happy in advance. But yes, I know, I am so sure I have described this so concretely, so powerfully that it is done. And for that, I am grateful. It is already done in the mind of God. It is spontaneous, and it cannot be, there can be no delay because there is no time nor space in the mind of God. And so I give thanksgiving for it, and then I release it and let it go. For some people, this is the most challenging step of all. You know, let me tell God what I want and how I want it and how I want my life to be fabulous, fabulous. And you know, I'm ready to change jobs. And so I want my next job to be with people I really, really enjoy, and I get to use my talents and skills. And I'm describing all of these things that are true in my next place of employment. And then I call Marcia Boone on the phone and I say, you know, I'm so sick of this job I'm in. My boss, I just really don't like working for her. And I had to work 60 hours a week last week, the last 2 weeks. And that's just too much. So I'm not releasing the power of my treatment into the world. What I'm releasing into the world is my complaining about the job I have, and I am staying attached to it. So I am not releasing it and say, Spirit, bring me this new job, bring me new people, because I forget. And I stay right in here, or I have done my treatment for this new job, this new employment situation. And then every day I am, instead of releasing it as done, I am doubting. I am not really believing that it can happen, even if I don't verbally articulate the opposite. So when we release, it's not I release and then go back to what I was doing. If the treatment, if I am doing a treatment, then I know it is working, and I live my life in a way that demonstrates that I know it is going to demonstrate in my life. So with my nephew, I turned to treatment, and then I made a decision that because the treatment was so powerful and I felt the shift happen within me, so I knew that Universal Mind would be working for his best wholeness, whatever that looks like, and whatever he would want to have in his life, his best and highest good. And I was at peace with that. If his best and highest good meant that he took his last breath in this physical form, that would be fine, because my prayer was for his wholeness and his best and highest good, his physical wholeness, his mental wholeness and healing, his emotional wholeness and healing. And if he began to have a change in how his body was operating, then I knew I would be good with that as well. And so I decided how I can release this and really know it's done, and then model that is I, twice a day, began to send his partner text messages that just affirmed wholeness and best and highest good and peace for the partner and their son. And lo and behold, a couple days later, he actually amazed the doctors and began to have some function where he wasn't having any function before. And the family and the medical team began to be more hopeful because they had really decided that he probably had less than 24 hours to live. And yesterday he continued to improve, and we'll see what today brings. But the point here is not really whether he lives or dies from this physical form. The point is that it was important for me to align with law and let law work. For me to walk in faith, to be clear and concrete about what I want that's in alignment with spiritual principle. And then when I release it, my treatment is done. Because what I know is there are no obstacles in the pathway of truth. Truth with a capital T, spirit, life. It is working constantly, and nothing can get in the way of it and block it permanently, because truth will just go around it. Truth will go over it. Truth will go under it. Truth will move it out of the way. And that, for me, is the good news, right? I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. There are no obstacles in the pathway of truth. Not even the obstacles that are in my mind or in my heart. They can't get in the way. They cannot stop God. So when I know that, then I can be in alignment with it, and I can look a discordant fact in the face and deny its reality. Deny its power over me or over anyone else. That doesn't mean I deny that my nephew is seriously ill. His body, his physical body, is experiencing traumatic illness. But I will deny that that is his reality. His illness does not define him. It is simply an experience he is having being in the human body. And when we use it, this chapter is about how to use the spiritual truth. When we are using that, we can deny that anything that is happening to us has power over us to determine the outcome of our life experience. No. The truth is, I am a child of God, and every attribute of spirit is within me and is available to me, and I can use it. So the question is, are you strong enough to stand in the truth when you're in that situation, that divorce, that bankruptcy, that physical abuse, that loss of a loved one, the foreclosure of a home, the illness of a relative or yourself? Are you strong enough in your spiritual life to stand in the truth? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to build the muscle it requires to do that? That is what we are reminded. Because spirit is always working, the law is always working. It works for us, it works through us, it works as us, according to our thoughts, our intentions, and our beliefs. Take a breath. This is called an anticipatory breath. According to our thoughts, intentions, and beliefs. That's how it works. So, if we believe that it will not work, it actually works, because it gives you what it is that according to your belief. I'm just counting. Because I know some of you are sitting there thinking about all the times that you said one thing, but you believed something else, and you got the something else, didn't you? Over and over and over and over again. It's not a trick. It's working in you, as you, and through you, according to your belief. Love and law are always working. So Ernest Holmes tells us in this chapter, we shall be compelled to do more than simply announce a spiritual principle. We can talk about what Science of Mind teaches, and we can be so smart about it. We can know it. We can tell other people about it. But we are to be compelled to do more than announce the principle, no matter how true it must be. We must take action. We must use it. We must be in alignment with it. We must practice the principles. We must practice using whatever spiritual practices work for us to keep us in alignment. We must do something. Michael Jordan did not become a great basketball player because he said, I know how to do it. Oh, I've watched a whole bunch of people dunk the basketball or dribble or be a good guard. He could talk about it, but he did more than that, right? You can name any athlete. And right here in our community, I know some of you, when service is over some weeks, you go home or you get on Facebook or you go and talk to your friends, whoever you're having lunch with or dinner with later in the day, and you tell them about the smart, intelligent, amazing things that Dr. Petra said that morning. Or you tell them about the stance that Reverend Karen took and how you really understood it for the first time. But the real thing is, are you doing the work? Are you applying it in your life so that your friends and your loved ones learn about it because they see it working in you and as you in your own life? So this week, let's do some work. Let us do our individual work to be in alignment with the universe and to use spiritual practice to reveal the truth of spiritual principle in the world. Let us do our work and leave the results to the law. Now, the obvious example for that, if you have trouble remembering it, is 2 months ago, we experienced in this community the birth of 3 babies, one day right after the other, the November 26th, November 27th, and November 28th. Now, I would venture to say that the parents did their work in creating this new life, the opportunity for new life. The desire for new life, setting into motion a spiritual mind treatment that says, it is time, I am ready, let's have this baby. I'm sure that happened. And that was the work that needed to be done on the human level. But the parents, no matter how spiritually grounded or great they are, couldn't actually create that baby and hair and eyelashes and little baby fingernails. The law did that. And the law reflected the alignment of spiritual practice and spiritual principle and transformed it into a new life. And that is what each one of us has the opportunity to do. So this week, let's do our work. Let's be clear about what we want to experience in our lives and in the world. And then let's release it to the law and allow law to ignite the power that is within each one of us. Please join me in prayer. in order to ignite the power within. We begin by recognizing that there is a power. It is a power that is the creation, the creator, and it is the power that experiences life as each creation. This power is within everything it has created, and each one of us present is unified with this power in a way that can never be removed. And so recognizing this power and uniting with it allows us to realize, to declare, to affirm that which we want to experience, because we have free will and we are able to experience whatever it is we want to experience in our individual life and in the collective culture. And so right here and right now, let us recognize that harmony, joy, love, peace, wholeness, wisdom, intelligence, all are ready to express. That the abundance of spirit is abundantly available, and there is nothing that can block it except our own disbelief or our own turning away. But this week, as we close out this month, we choose, each one of us, to ignite the power within, fully, completely, and in a way that it can never be denied and will never burn out. This is what I claim right here and now, and affirm with deep gratitude the willingness and the readiness to be the expression of spirit in the world. From that place of gratitude, I simply release, allow, let it be. And I invite you to anchor that with me by saying, and so it is.